I'm Tyler. I review movies by reenacting them. And today we're going to talk about MaXXXine, the third in what was supposed to be the final entry in the X franchise. It's now 1985 and Maxine Minx, played again by Mia Goth, is looking to transition from porn movies to... movies. But once again, the people closest to her are getting axed off left and right, and the killer is blackmailing her specifically for her own past events. X was a generic slasher to me, but I really loved Pearl, so going in, I was hoping Maxine could at least be somewhere in the middle, and I gotta say, I need to rewatch Pearl to be absolutely sure, but Maxine might actually be my favorite of the three. Ti West has really outdone himself as a filmmaker. I can't say I was always scared, but I was on the edge of my seat gripping my fists throughout the majority of the runtime, which is really impressive because there were no jump scares, no false alarms, but there were so many close-ups where Maxine's all alone in these wide, empty environments that I was constantly looking around the empty frame, waiting for something to pop out. But it's the camera work and the editing that makes every shot in this so suspenseful and atmospheric, whether it's the POV shots that do a great job at hiding the killer's identity, switching aspect ratios and sound whenever a camera within the scene is filming the events, or longer takes that let you soak up the environment and all this empty space that make you once again anticipate something popping out at any moment. The kills in this, in my opinion, are the best in the franchise. Two scenes that stick out in particular. One where a character doesn't actually die but suffers possibly the one fate in this worse than death, and another involving a crushed car where the aftermath was pretty damn bloody. And I have to say, West does a good job at knowing when to show the blood and carnage when it actually serves the suspense, or when to keep it off screen and let the audience use their imagination on that. And as expected, he makes the 1980s setting look simultaneously sleek and gross, with pitch perfect set and costume design, some really cool editing techniques like white transitions or split screen montages, and one of the best soundtracks of the year. I was listening to it on repeat from the walk home from the theater. But like every X movie, the main reason to watch it is for Mia Goth as Maxine. She is absolutely terrifying and gives another stellar performance where I think Pearl was technically more scary in comparison, but at the same time, Goth still excels at making you feel afraid of her and for her, sometimes at the exact same time, which is a little tricky, but you know she's not the villain of the story. There are several scenes where Goth is just sitting in silence all alone, reminiscing about her past sins, showing genuine remorse, and I have to say, this did a good job at showing flashbacks from another movie without making it feel obligatory to know what they're talking about. In fact, the real interesting thing about this, Maxine is so standalone that you can watch the flashbacks from X in this and assume that they were flashbacks filmed for this movie specifically. It's really impressive. And Maxine as a character is a genuinely talented and hardworking actress who has a lot to lose in this, but at the same time, there are so many dangerous situations that she's in where she can take care of herself, but instead of walking away, she chooses to act violent and cross the line. She gets off on it. She vents out her frustrations. That fate worse than death I was just talking about was all because of her, and it makes you squirm, even though that guy technically got what he deserved. And the motive that she has in this movie is incredibly vapid. She just wants to be famous, and she'll rub it in to anyone's faces, whether they like it or not, at any chance she gets. But the thing that definitely surprised me about Maxine, good and bad, is the unique approach it takes to the subject matter. This takes place during the Washington Wives protest where everything was being called to be censored, and I do like that West acknowledges through the script that people do get off on gratuitous sex and violence, even if it's real or fictional or it serves no purpose, right down to calling out news programs for relying on bloody, violent deaths in order to gain viewership, let alone the fact that everybody recognizes Maxine on the street for her, body of work. And I think because of that exact same reason, West makes an actual point not to show Maxine naked or rely on any blood and guts, again, unless it actually serves the story. And it's a weird way of calling out people for being gratuitous while also being against censorship, because at the exact same time, they acknowledge the fact that nobody would be complaining about this shit if it wasn't looking convincing. And I don't like that this one character spelled out the message I'm about to say right now, but I do like that the movie acknowledges that we all like something that's either deplorable or other people consider immoral, but as long as we're open about liking it and what we enjoy the most is fake, there's really no harm, no foul to it. But it does bother me that there's so many characters like Halsey, Lily Collins, and especially Elizabeth Debicki who only serve one purpose, and that's to explain the metaphors of the film to Maxine and the audience, which, don't get me wrong, the metaphors I completely agree with, but they were already told in a subtle enough way that you didn't need to delve that deep into it. No kidding, like the first 5 minutes of dialogue Debicki has, it is just explaining why people wanting censorship are so stupid and hypocritical, especially the Christian conservatives that constantly pick at the studios. And I do find it weird that they, even though they show secular liberals in this to be equally capable of evil and corruption, which they do on a regular basis in this, they still hold Christian conservatives to a higher accountability, even though it's, a little more complicated than that. But I only remember her as being an exposition and analysis vessel, not as an actual character, and that's the thing. It's, once again, like any X movie, the Mia Goth and Ty West show, to the point where almost all the side characters feel like extended cameos who come and go only when the story demands of them. Michelle Monaghan and Bobby Cannavale honestly would have made more of an impression if they acted in this ridiculous skit as opposed to the actual movie. Hell, Toby Huss from King of the Hill is in this for 1 minute as a coroner, and I remember him more than what these two did. The only characters that really make an impression other than Maxine are Giancarlo Esposito as her fixer, who is incredibly loyal to her and has one of the best scenes without even talking, without even moving a muscle. And especially Kevin Bacon as this sleazy but smooth-talking private eye hired by the actual villain. And when they do reveal the villain towards the end, even though it was incredibly obvious, the actor did keep me on the edge of my seat because he was just chewing up every scene and being campy in the perfect way. I think Mia Goth and Ty West should keep X as a trilogy because in my opinion, it just got better and better over time, but I still think the two of them should keep making horror movies together because they've made, in my opinion, some of A24's best films, and this is no exception. Definitely check it out. Guys, thanks as always for watching. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of Maxine, or what's your favorite X movie? Whatever it is, let me know. Be sure to like and subscribe. Check me out on Patreon and buy me a coffee, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.